So it's time to blow up some ships. However, originally I did want to fly the Enforcer a little bit, but then I realized, oh yeah, I don't have the ISK for that ship at the moment. But yeah, working on that. After all, the Concorde ships have been buffed. The Marshal might very well be the most, well, I don't want to say the most overpowered ship, but the Marshal's definitely been improved a lot, even though it was already really strong before the buff. But overall, the Concorde ships are currently very, well, let's actually put it very lightly, they're very powerful, to say the least. And I've been using the Enforcer myself. I do have plans for 2 Enforcers and maybe a Marshal, but that thing is just at the moment way too expensive for my taste. Anyway, let's do a quick warm-up with the Macarial, or should I say the oversized cruiser, as the joke goes. I mean, just look at the description of the Marzio. And yes, I really should start to use the Marzio. It's a much
warp drive active.
Much better Macarial, I would say. Especially because it has 28 seconds of damage control, which is what I would need a lot on my ships here. I would definitely take advantage of that damage control. Will work really well, and surprisingly that damage control works flawlessly if combined with a classic glass DPS build. So this build that I currently have on this ship would work really well on the Marzio. Now the first target will be a Dominix. However, I think the warping is not exactly 100, but we will see what will happen. I have 4 long-range disruptors, which will work really well. So far I've been using this ship in such a way for a while and no issues so far. Well, there's the Dominix, and that's a very bad warping that I just done here. Let's attempt to approach. Oh, and they're attempting to warp out. Well, hopefully that's not going to work for them. There we go, 4 points. I said 4 points, I forgot to enable one. Now I did, okay. And I'll keep at range. Well, that's some good damage. I always like the damage output on the Macarial. This thing slaps even now after so long. And well, the Dominix has been destroyed. That's actually a lucky catch, because didn't expect to catch the Dominix since they did attempt to warp. But I think they actually disconnected in space once, and that's messed up the alignment, I guess. And that bought me enough time to catch the battleship. However, I was almost out of range there. Well, let's warp out and then we can take a look at the value of the Dominix. Although, to be honest, I don't expect much based on the loot, but always worth to check out. Could be something funny. You never know. I have seen enough cursed builds. Nothing surprises me anymore. And let's take a look. 687 million. Okay, that's interesting.
Warp drive
not exactly a bad build, but not exactly a good one. Yeah, at least there is no hybrid tank. It's I guess the good factor there. No hybrid tank, which is always good. Now let's go to the next targets. We have 2 cruisers running a mission. I should have taken the Maller for this, because I believe it would be much more fun, but I had that feeling
Warp
that it
drive
could
active.
be potentially a bait. So I did decide to play it a little bit safe and go with something, you know, something more equipped for a bait situation. In this case, that would be the cells. Now I did warp intentionally a bit further away. I'll go after the closer Moa, which seems to be almost in armor. And then I will go after the Moa that's a bit further away. Now I will attempt to point both of them at the same time, since... Okay, this would work, and I will keep at range the closer Moa, but one of the Moas is already destroyed, and now I can focus fire on the second one.
We're under attack.
Also a good thing, if I did take the Maller, one of them could have warped off. With this ship, that's a bit harder to do, because you are not really... It's not really easy to warp away from this ship, from the cells. It's a very nasty ship, has high DPS.
We're under attack.
Now the second Moa definitely felt a bit more tanky, but this Moa is also destroyed. Okay, that was good. And let's loot. Let's see what's inside of the wrecks. Could be... Okay, I'll take it. And let's go to the next wreck. Now, what do you think? Which one of these two ships was more expensive? The one that lasted longer, or the one that lasted much shorter? And you probably already know the answer to that, since I'm already asking the question, which is already again pretty funny, because in all of cases the more expensive build ends up lasting much less than the longer build. At least when the one who was fighting with those ships. My expensive ships are
Warp drive
usually
active.
much tougher, and 364 million ISK Moa, that's really good value for a Moa. That's because of the nanocore, which nanocores were able to drop, and 61 million ISK Moa, the second one. Unfortunately, both have been cursed. And I really wish I took the Maller out, but you know, if I did not take the Maller out, they could have probably warped off. Usually what happens. Now we have a magnet Cortops, and you might be wondering, well, what are you doing with a Astero? I was actually waiting to see what the magnet will do, and since it's a Cortops frigate, I decided to take the Astero for this particular ship. And I was actually confused when I saw that there is nothing nearby, so I initially thought that this could potentially be a little Sino magnet. I think they can launch Sino now. They should be able to, at least. So, in any case, the magnet is pointed. They have a shield extender, which is funny. And this is my Astero, old Astero. I've been using this ship for a couple of years now. My first Astero, actually. Used to be a exploration ship, now it's a combat ship. Well, combat explorer. And it works really well. Okay. Now let me warp out, since I don't like to be in the middle of nowhere. Let's just be somewhere nearby. And let's cloak. Now, I'm not really sure what was happening here, or what was going on here, because this magnet was just sitting there in space. Could be on a planetary material collection, I have no idea. I just got some heavy water as loot, which is nice. Getting fuel is always useful. I definitely need fuel. Most of my ships are running low on fuel anyway, and implants are also running low on fuel as well, so that's definitely not bad loot. That was actually pretty funny, and some action with the Astero. That ship doesn't see that much PvP. Used to see it a lot back in the day. I actually used this very ship for PvP back in the day. You can find the older videos that I've done on the Astero. This ship has seen a lot of things over the years. Now we have a Talwar assault, Talwar 2 assault to be more accurate, and the Talwar seems to be PvP fitted, and I'm very curious to see what will happen when we engage the Talwar. I have the cells ready. There is the Talwar, and they warped. I actually expected them to go through the gate here, but they didn't. So I'll just rush the Talwar now. I should be faster because this is the cells after all. And the tracking disruptor will practically be a little bit useless against the Talwar assault because they're using missiles, well, rockets, I think. They do have a damage control that's working, but that's not going to help much because the cells just has, yeah, way too much DPS for a cruiser. And the Talwar 2 assault has been destroyed. Okay, that was a good catch, and let's cloak. Oh, the drone is out. Okay, let's pull back the drone, and now we can cloak. When the drone is inside, of course. There we go. Okay, perfect. So, let's orbit, and let's see. A 1 billion ISK Talwar 2 assault, long range missiles, not bad. A PvP build with dual Nosferatus. Now that's kinda weird. Dual Nosferatus but no active tank. I don't really think that will work, but I don't know. I mean, one Scrambler, not bad in the end. Kinda like how the build looks. And now, a ship that I didn't use in a very long time. But I've had this ship for ages. Didn't really have a particular target for it. The Bellicose. Well, we do have one ship, which seems to be not the base, but I think they might be in the Inquisitor Scout anomaly, and just a little
Warp drive
practice run with the Bellicose here. Again, this ship is surprisingly fun, I would say. I said this before, but the lower tier ships are definitely really fun to use. And the Bellicose is definitely no exception. It has a bonus on
Warp
target
drive active.
painters. I use it like I would use the Corvus Bellicose, which I did use a long time ago, but never really actively used it that much. It's a good ship though, I like it. I did use the Ortus over it. The Ortus was always the better option with the better missile performance, but the Bellicose usually the cheaper alternative. And the missiles have been buffed recently, so that's always a nice thing to note. Okay, there's the Vexor, and let's orbit. And let's focus fire on the Vexor. Yeah, this is not going to take long. Orbiting at 23, but inertia did throw me a bit further away. Not a big deal, I'll just return. Honestly, I should fly these ships a lot more often. I'm just having a lot more fun flying the cheap ships than the expensive ones. Okay, there we go. And the Vexor has been destroyed. Let's take a look at the wreck, and let's try to get the pod, or not.
Attack.
Pod warped off. Okay, fair enough. Alright, let's warp out. Let's not warp to the station, that would be pretty funny. Although it's a cheap ship, even if it blows up, I don't really care. I also did fly the Blackbird. That thing is also ridiculous fun. I enjoyed the Blackbird a lot. Always nice to fly these ships. I have them just, you know, in case there is a target for them. Much more fun to use the cheaper ships, that's for sure. And this thing is also really fast. I also forgot to mention that, really fast. Well, okay, at least the build is not cursed. First time I seen a properly built ship like that.
Warp
And
drive
can we
active.
dock with timer? Always good to check this out because you never know when you need to dock with timer. I rarely do it, but I mean I rarely do it. I did start to do it a lot more often lately. That's a fact. Just because if I can already
Docking
dock,
request
let's just
accepted.
dock and I can just do something else while the timer is taking in the station. But do I recommend that you do this often? Well, no. If you have bad internet, I mean, even if bad internet, I did dock in the past with bad internet. I did make a video on that. It was pretty funny actually. Thankfully, it was on a cheap ship. I was on a cheap ship. That's the that's the factor that I try to make.
Undocking.
Okay, let's go to the next target. Well, since I used the Macarial, I did say that I'm not going to use this ship anymore, but honestly, this ship is a bit difficult to completely replace. I don't use it that much, obviously, because I have the Dominix Navy, but this thing is just 10 times faster than the
Warp
Dominix
drive
Navy
active.
in warp. I mean, again, it's behaving like a cruiser pretty much. So, a battleship with battleship DPS with cruiser velocity is what's making the Macarial a very irreplaceable ship for me. At least when it comes to combat, because again, not many ships are able to do what the Macarial can do. And that's pretty much one of the main reasons why I'm still taking it out for a spin. Of course, the Dominix Navy has much higher DPS. There's no denying that, but the space potato is a space potato. It's huge. It's slow, and in many cases I actually did miss the target because the ship was too slow for warping in and stuff like that. So that's pretty much why I use the Macarial occasionally. But it seems like our ship here
We're under attack.
has left. Okay, well that's funny.
Warp drive active.
It was a Tempest, but the Tempest got blown away, I guess. Not really sure what happened there with the ship. Was there like a minute ago. Well, I'll take the Astero and I'll creep around the mission. Maybe they return. When they return, I will probably warp back in. But yeah, this has been happening more often than usual, which is funny.
Docking request accepted.
Usually ship, and I've missed like 10 enforcers just this week because they enter the system, they go to the mission, they see me in the local, they cancel a mission and leave the system. That's pretty much what's been happening for I don't know, for the last like week, 2 weeks, ever since these ships have been released pretty much. And yeah, definitely weird and odd, and all of players would
Undocking.
probably agree. Can get annoying when that keeps happening. Or the funniest thing, when I log in, I scan, I see a ship. By the time I don't even manage to dock my Astero around the station, they already cancel the mission and leave the system. So that's also a thing that's been happening a lot lately. When I say a lot more often than usual. It's been happening before, but now it's actually a little bit difficult to completely ignore because it's been happening ridiculously often. Well, okay, they haven't returned yet. Did look like they have been using artillery cannons, so I could technically do the Tempest with the Astero, but I don't really trust myself with frigates when it comes to frigate PvP. So
Undocking.
yeah, let's just go back and let's just go to the next target actually. And well, our next target will be a little destroyer, and I always love to take out my Thrasher Navy for a spin. technically this acts like a navy destroyer. Would be funny if they do get the same treatment as the
Warp
navy
drive
battleships. Could happen, could happen. Would be funny if they get a ridiculous tank to them and DPS. That would be pretty interesting. We will see what will happen to these ships. There is the course. Let's go after it. Not a bad warp in. Pretty close. Okay, scrambled, webbed, and let's open fire. I don't really think I need to use my implant. I'll just let the Olcans do the talking. Minmatter still versus Amar
We're under attack.
golden plated ships. If you look at some of the Amar ships, they're literally gold plated, and that's again really funny. Meanwhile, Minmatter ships are rusty. Always been the thing, always been like that, and I like it. Okay, let's warp
Warp
out.
drive active.
And this is why this ship is also really fun to use. Against the less serious targets, you can quite literally have fun with it. And I will attempt, yes, seems like I will attempt to dock with timer, but first let's take a look at the kill. Actually not a bad value. This is roughly the same value as my own ship. This ship is really inexpensive. I don't really know what modules I have, but
Warp drive active.
Mark 1, Mark 2, like Mark 4 stuff installed on this ship. Again, it's really cheap. It's definitely really cheap. And the ship
Docking request
is
accepted.
docking. There we go. Beautiful. Without any problems whatsoever. Okay, let's go to the next target. We have a Myrmidon jumping in. Now, lately, ever since the last update, the icons of the ships are not being displayed properly, at least for me. Maybe I need to do a client repair, but there has been some very funny bugs lately. And yeah, Myrmidon, but it has a thorax icon, which is funny because, you know, I've had the icon display a hell. So yeah, not exactly can give some really nasty surprises, even though it's not a hell, but it could potentially show a hell icon while it being something else. So yeah, keep an eye on that, because that bug is kind of ongoing now. And well, with that being said, that would be it for today. It was honestly fun. was honestly pretty fun to fly the cheaper ships. I really would like to fly the cheaper ships a lot more often, because I honestly do have much more fun in the cheap ships than the expensive ones. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe. As always, I'll see you next time.